What's up, everybody? I wanted to shine some light into this channel called Exploring Insights. Peter Fang, met him over the phone. Really nice guy. He is the founder of Exploring Insights, which is an app that helps people find problems, create micro SaaSes and MVPs through Claude, Cursor, and V0. So this is something that I'm playing around with because I'm trying to stack marketing skills, which is cold email outreach, plus MVP to see if anyone bites. And I was messaging him, and I completely have no experience or background knowledge with programming or engineering, computer engineering. And he did mention that it would be ideal to learn some language models like Python just to have that experience. And I would agree. You don't want to go in blindly because you still have to invest some money into setting up the micro SaaS and the MVP, but I just really thought his videos are quite compelling in terms of helping people start with no skills or with $0 because you can start learning this, which is what I started to adapt. But I thought I'd shed some light into his channel. For anyone who wants to start a micro SaaS, it has never been easier with Claude and Cursor and V0. And then just to play around with it, he does recommend you do an MVP, and it takes around, like, if you're completely brand new, a week, and take 90 days to get really good at this, which is something that I'm going to be experimenting on top of my marketing skills. So let's have a listen to see what he has to say.
I would do if I started from scratch today with all the programming knowledge that I've gathered over the years. So I thought this video I would go over exactly what I would do if I had no knowledge
Always
about programming or
1.75
coding and
speed
I wanted to
just to
become
save some
a
time.
coder at some big tech company, or if I wanted to make my first million selling software. So just to give some background and context, I started coding when I was 17. So that was back in high school. I took one programming class in the junior year of high
This is my thought process. When people start learning at the age of 17, in my head, I'm just like, this should be doable. But the fact that 17-year-olds have when it comes to it at the edge against other age brackets is that they have heaps of time to just go all in on it. So he learned it through YouTube, and YouTube is an awesome source of content. This is what I'm starting to realize: free content, as long as you know how to implement it, it's worth your while.
high school, and I've learned a lot of different programming languages on my own, but I majored in computer science through college, and then after college, my first job was at Amazon. This is like all the projects that I've done from high school up until, and then I have some that I haven't listed, but these are the bigger ones that I've released in the public, and then this is like my salary at Amazon before I quit, just to give some context and like credibility of like my programming experience. Basically,
And this is the expectation. You're not going to have the first micro SaaS or the first MVP to win. The red means he's tried and failed, and that's what he's developed with Exploring Insights. He's finding problems in the market where you can start to capitalize, or people that are already monetizing the service. You can capitalize it by selling a micro SaaS or an MVP.
the story of how I learned programming from YouTube videos and making projects, that's what I would do again if I had to start. If I had a lot of time and not much money, I would create as many projects in the shortest time possible. As you create more projects, you learn how to build and ship products faster, and you get a sense of like your favorite programming language after experimenting with a few. So the first thing I would do is just pick one programming language to start with. So I would start with Python, but JavaScript, Ruby, PHP, anything is fine if you're able to ship fast with it, but I would go with Python. The goal for the next 6 months is to ship as many projects as possible. In high school, what I did is I built and launched a new project every like 2 to 3 days, and a lot of the projects are just small scripts and web apps. But I think that's a goal where you don't put too much pressure on building this huge web app and trying to sell it. But like the intention and goal should be just like trying to launch as many projects as possible. So the goal that I would go with if I started again today is probably going to be shipping like 50 projects in the next 90 days. I think this is reasonable, especially with Claude and Cursor and all these AI tools that help you build projects faster. And I think with the
All right, Claude and Cursor. Have a look at the free versions of those and start practicing. 1 hour a day on top of your marketing skills, on top of your sales skills. That's what I'm doing. So this is what is going to separate me from everyone else. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm still learning. That's why I want to separate myself from everyone else. In March, I got into sales, got some experience, and now I realize that it's not that the competition is, or yeah, the competition is saturated, but I want to make it easy for myself. So now I'm learning digital marketing, personal content. That's a long term play to plant the seed to grow. I'm not seeing a lot of salespeople do, and you guys should do it. I don't see why you can't. It's just low hanging fruit. Do low hanging fruit. I wouldn't say this is low hanging fruit, but marketing is a good low hanging fruit. And stacking no code SaaS, sales, marketing, no code SaaS. Who out there knows how to do that?
50 projects, you can create different apps. So it doesn't have to be limited to just like web apps. You can try creating a lot of Chrome extension, iOS apps, scripts, Python automation to help with your daily tasks. The main goal of this is just to build a lot of projects, and then afterwards you'll have confidence in building projects faster. So that's like the first thing I would do. And then the second thing, it depends a lot if you want to like get a big tech company job or build your own startup. If I wanted a big tech job, this is probably if you're less risk, if you have a lower risk tolerance and you just want a foundation of cash. I think this
Let's be honest, if you're risky, we're not going for tech jobs. We want to build and have that financial freedom and that location freedom. But it's good that he gave an option because let's be honest, people don't want to take the riskier option, which is totally fine. Who doesn't want like 100K job and it's just secure to, look after your family and to address your mortgage on a stable rate?
pretty good, especially if you want a job and build projects. I would do a lot of leak code. So leak code is a site that has like a bunch of coding questions. So I would do leak code for 6 months, and I think after those 6 months, the chance of you getting a job is pretty high, even if you don't get into any of the things. So that's the goal, where you just do 6 months of leak code.
The only thing with getting a job in my head is that a lot of people are learning no code, and there's so much open access to free information online that people across the world will be charging less for their services. So if you're in a Western country, you're competing against every other country that is willing to take less for their services. Hence why you should take the riskier route and try to figure out yourself. But I don't want to be deciding for you. It's just something to think about in your head when you're thinking about which route to take.
So let's say you don't want a big tech job and just want to go all in on startups. This is probably the case where you might live in a non-US country. So maybe you're living in Europe or India or somewhere in Southeast Asia, and there's not that many jobs. So this honestly is a route I would go with if I didn't live in the States. A lot of the tech jobs are lower pay. Your time is better spent building projects and getting one off the ground. The time spent and the money earned is worth it than companies, to be honest. Cut a lot of the junior jobs only pay like 100K, and then a lot is eaten up by taxes and expenses. Let's say you live in Southeast Asia and you want to make the first $10,000. I think it's easier if you do your own projects. To launch projects that solve a specific pain point and monetize them with a paywall. I think a lot of the mistakes that I made, especially in the earlier years of programming, is that I created a bunch of projects, but not a lot of them were monetized, meaning that the users could use a product for free and there was really no incentive for them to pay. That was one big mistake with my early.
When I did ChatGPT and trying to learn how to do no code SaaS, the way to do it is make it super basic. And the problem and the challenge to face is setting up a connection with Stripe or some kind of pay system. And if you have it recurring, that's going to require a lot more coding. So if you have a once-off payment, that's way more simpler. So something to consider.
Early project, no traction, or they got no paying customers. So I would aim to create one paid product per week. And I think if one takes off, then I would just focus on that one. So probably one per week is too much. Probably one every 3 weeks or every month. The goal is to find a problem or pain point and then building a product around that. It's not spraying and praying where you hope like the shower idea takes off. It's you're trying to find a niche that has problems and people are willing to pay, and then you create products around that problem. I would do one project per month and focus on the one that really takes off, and focusing on actually finding a pain point and problem first before you build the projects. That's the high level overview. In terms of finding problems, I have other videos on how to find.
All right, so here's the play, which is what I'm going to try to do. 1 hour every day or every second day to learn no code and punch out a project on every month or every second month. So 2 to 3 projects by the end of the year and see which one pops off with a paywall. That would be solid. On top of marketing skills, funnel that in. That would be pretty solid. So for those that want to watch and follow Pete, Exploding Insights is his channel. I highly recommend it, especially if you don't know what to do. No code with Claude, Cursor, and V0. It's open access for a lot of people to learn. What that actually means is that it's not open access for everybody because you still need to understand the concepts. So it makes average coders 10x and awesome coders 1000x. And marketers learning code, knowing to know how to code. So this means that we're going to see a shift in more 1 to 5 team businesses hitting marks when it comes to doing well and addressing more pain points in the market. If this is something that you really like, please start curating more videos. There's a lot of ideas out there. You don't need to think about ideas. Do what I'm doing. Watch and react, and then record and post. That's my system when it comes to content creation. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. I'll see you in the next video.